Just want to ask what you think will be the future of regulation in America. One of the things I found very entertaining, or not entertaining, I don't know what it was, eye-opening about the FTX hearings in both the Congress and the Senate was, oh man, I don't know what to say. I find these hearings fascinating. Anything live happening in DC from the Supreme Court Justice approval a couple years ago, I think is probably the most fascinating live TV. But I saw experts rolled out. I mean, you must have been cringing at some of these experts that were saying these things have no value whatsoever, pure speculation, it's rat poison squared. And then also at the same time, I saw people with agendas from both parties just using this event to advance their or settle scores within the conference. And I'm not a politician, but it was obvious to me by watching it. I'm curious if you saw similar things that I did on both of those hearings. And then how will this play out, do you think, in regulation?
So those agendas, that's what Washington is all about. Those agendas will continue to play out. There are people that are pro CFTC, pro SEC, and they will run op-eds and run stories why the other agency is out of its mind and this is the right agency. So that's normal. You're going to have people that are pro self-regulation, that are anti-regulation. They're going to play out their agendas. There are going to be scores settled. If you take away all of that noise, I think there are two pieces of legislation that will garner enough majority and interest across the aisle to have a chance of seeing the light of day in the current Congress that was just sworn in. The first one is stablecoin legislation. I do think we're going to see some form of stablecoin legislation. I think at a minimum, there is bipartisan support and across the House support, Senate and House, for disclosure legislation for stablecoins. At a minimum, if you're operating a stablecoin, and if you say this is the stablecoin mechanism, you have to be truthful. You've got to explain what it is and be truthful about what it is. And probably there's got to be some auditing process to actually confirm what you say it is. I think there's core support for that across the House. The second question will be who can operate stablecoins? Must you be a licensed bank or must you have a special license to do it? I think there's some challenges there. There's some contingents that like to see that limited to established banking institutions or at least someone who holds a bank license. There are others that think it should be more broadly. What's the role of states? I think there's still consensus building to go on there. But I think stablecoins will see the light of day for one reason. Stablecoins are considered, I think, because they hold U.S. treasuries as a demand factor for U.S. debt. And so in a country that, lives on debt and is issuing spending more and more money all the time, the need for demand, and I think that if nothing else, and I think there are other reasons, but I think that's one reason why we may see stablecoin legislation in the future.
Okay.
I also think because prudential regulators want to make sure they're in the driving seat regulating this. And I think the likelihood of bank and central bank involvement in stablecoin regulation is great. The other area where I do think there remains support is to fill a gap. And that is, it's now clear that certainly Bitcoin, when it's used as a derivative, futures and swaps, is regulated by the CFTC. And cryptos that serve the function of capital formation instruments and therefore are securities are regulated by the SEC. The SEC has authority over both spot markets and derivative markets for securities. The CFTC has only authority, except for a few limited exceptions, for only the derivative market for commodities like Bitcoin and Ethereum. Why is that? That sounds strange, right? The SEC has both derivatives and spot. The CFTC generally only has derivatives. Well, if you think about it, it actually makes sense. The CFTC oversees gold futures, but doesn't oversee gold markets, because if it did, it would have to regulate every corner jewelry shop in America. The CFTC oversees wheat futures, but if it oversees spot market for wheat, it would have to oversee every grain elevator in America. The CFTC oversees cattle futures, but doesn't oversee cattle auctions. If it does, it would have to have agents in every cattle watering hole in America. Those are long been assumed that spot markets are under state regulation and the futures markets are under federal regulation with the CFTC. But there are a few exceptions already to that in the area of foreign exchange and others. And it is very likely, I believe, that the CFTC is going to be granted authority over spot markets for Bitcoin and Ethereum. There's a whole bunch of reasons for that, but it makes sense. If the CFTC has got 5 years experience overseeing the derivative markets, it makes sense for it to have the spot market. That's what it's already happened in other categories. So I believe there's a strong likelihood that that legislation will pass. It was introduced in last Congress. It has bipartisan support. It has cross-house support. And although it's been, some people are driving an agenda have tarnished it because they said, well, FTX supported it, therefore it must be bad. But just because FTX supported something doesn't make it bad if the underlying premise of it makes sense. And here's why I think it'll be beneficial. The CFTC already regulates Bitcoin and Ethereum futures. Because it regulates the futures, the SEC has green-lighted an ETF on Bitcoin and Ethereum futures. If the CFTC is given authority over the spot market for Bitcoin and Ethereum, now the SEC will have no objection to green-lighting a spot-based ETF. And therefore, as a former trader, once you've got the full suite of futures, swaps, spot markets, and ETFs under effective regulation, now traders can have a field day with all the different product sets necessary to have a full curve of prices and suites. So I think this could be a real beneficial turn for Bitcoin and Ethereum if the CFTC were given that spot authority and then the SEC saw its way to an ETF on that spot market.
Yeah, that sounds like a wonderful option. But the SEC just said Ethereum's a security, right? So we have to get over that first.
So has the CFTC. So I'm not sure. All the legislation that's moving in Congress, where it actually determines what's under CFTC jurisdiction, puts Ethereum alongside Bitcoin. There is no legislation in Congress right now that says Ethereum is under the SEC. So I think, the fact of the matter is the CFTC has had an oversight of Ethereum futures now for almost 4 years. So again, there are agendas out there, and whenever you've got institutions in a political state, you've got partisans for those. I'll admit my own support for the CFTC, right? You've got partisans for those institutions. But if you break it down, the CFTC is 5 years running overseeing Bitcoin and Ethereum futures. I think it would be unlikely, and none of the current pending legislation supports the SEC being in authority. But look, I'm open to other suggestions. I think this will get hashed out in Congress. I'm just giving you my prognostication and my own view that I think the CFTC is the right regulator for Ethereum and Bitcoin spot markets.
So Jim Rickards has just recorded a video that's not available to anyone in the public, and he's going to be talking about how this upcoming recession is going to be fast, it's going to be bloody, it's going to be nasty. But at the same time, he's going to show you how you can position yourself to profit from all of this chaos. Now, we've made this video only available to our viewers. Go to londonreal.tv/Jim. Watch that immediately. I can't say enough good things about Jim Rickards. He understands the global economic system better than any guest I've ever had on London Real. His predictions are almost uncannily true, and you can learn how to profit from his vision, from his expertise, and his understanding of economics. So go to londonreal.tv/Jim or click the link below. It's an excellent, excellent look on what's going to happen in the future and how you can position yourself to profit from that. Jim is one of the best in the business, one of my favorite guests on London Real, and he's very, very good at predicting the future and showing us all to profit from it. So click the link, and I hope you enjoy. I'm looking for partners, collaborators, colleagues who want to join forces with me around the globe and create real value, generational wealth, and financial freedom for everyone else around the world. Get involved in the cryptocurrency markets, get involved in the NFT markets. This is your moment. Life all comes down to a few moments. Don't let this pass. Now it's not too late. Next year's going to be too late. Ultimately, this is about freedom. That's the way I see it. This is about giving power back to the people and enabling billions of people worldwide to use the financial markets to improve their lives and those of their friends and their families and their communities. Honestly, I think it's a violation of human rights not to allow people basic access to financial services. Because right now people are being kept in the dark, they're being robbed of education, and it's a travesty. And so I'm looking for people that want to join me and be a part of this solution. And that all happens inside the DeFi Academy. The gains my students are making are absolutely amazing. Double, triple digit gains in the first month alone. That's amazing. This will change your life. Now is the time to get involved. I'm going to tell you exactly how my students in my academy made money in the last 30 days. I'm talking about real trading results. And let me just whet your appetite a little bit. Let me hit you with some numbers. I'm talking Brendan from New Zealand is up 68.77% on the month. Steve from Europe up 83%. Albert in Singapore up 169.9% on one single trade. I got Susan up 153% on her call options alone, also rocking 139% returns and 442% returns as well on individual trades. These are people that are changing their financial future in the last 30 days, but it's based on trading discipline. I've graduated over 500 students from inside my academy from over 54 countries around the world. It's amazing. When it comes to crypto, DeFi, and blockchain, we love this space. We truly believe it's the future. This is down to our core. It's authentic to what we're doing, and everybody can tell through the camera because you can't make this stuff up. If you're watching me now, wherever you are, I implore you, take 60 seconds right now and join my academy. Apply today. Now you've got a chance. Life all comes down to a few moments. What are you going to do? What's the choice that you're going to make?